Let's see if we can get on the same page about some neck surgeries, Jim. I don't know if you've seen this, but Steve Carino's son, Colby Carino, has carved out a nice career for himself on the independents, and he finds himself in a GoFundMe situation. He just had some kind of career threatening, undisclosed emergency neck surgery. And just hours after getting checked out, I mean, they were wheeling him in. And on the WWE side of things, we've seen that Kevin Owens just got a single level fusion after waiting it out for several months. And on the AEW side of things, we're finding out that Ospreay is saying that he has a pair of herniated discs that are now messing with his spinal cord. This is a dangerous deal. This is the only type of injury. I shouldn't say the only, but this is the scariest one of every wrestling injury that I know of is these neck injuries. Because people wonder not just how will my career be on the other side of this surgery, but how will I be? Will I physically be the same and be able to enjoy the same quality of life? And you ran talent relations when WWE had almost like a neck surgery epidemic. I feel like that was probably like 99 to 2003. What did you attribute all of those neck surgeries all at once? I mean, whether it was Edge or Kurt Angle or Stone Cold, it felt like one after another with these neck surgeries.
Well, it all goes back to how they were working and what kind of bumps they were taking, uh, taking chances. A lot of these guys took unnecessary chances that put their necks in jeopardy, and that was exposed on more than one occasion. It was always bad to hear from the doctors, but we had good doctors. They diagnosed well, but it still was. I always believe there were some unnecessary injuries involving the neck that shouldn't have never happened. Guys getting dinged and having some paralysis, having some numbness and so forth. It just, at the end of the day, was unnecessary. They kept pushing the envelope because they didn't want to miss out on a payday. And I can understand that to some degree, but nothing is worth jeopardizing your long-term health over whatsoever. And that's kind of how I looked at it. Some of those issues were avoidable.
I do want to ask, when all these surgeries start happening, is that the reason we started to see a ban on certain moves? It feels like this is the era where we said, okay, no more chair shots over the head, no more pile drivers. Certain things start to get outlawed. And with the benefit of hindsight, I'm fuzzy on, the chicken and the egg conversation here. Was it concerns of CTE? Is that what led to the end of the chair shots and it was the neck injury that led to the end of the pile driver? Is it a combination of both? How do you remember WWE handling these neck surgeries? Was there a move to change how we got there with, hey, let's get rid of this move or that practice, that sort of thing?
Yeah, you had to do something to stymie the growth and the proliferation of these injuries, uh, and we did the best we could with it. It's once the talent get in the ring, it's kind of their ball game,
Right.
and even though you can consult with them and coach them up and and work with them, a lot of them are just leery of what they are willing to subject their own bodies for. And I appreciate their dedication, and I always did, always will. But there are things there that needed to be addressed, and we try to do that by just taking some of the higher risk things away from the toolbox. So but still, it's once the horses get in the race, you can't slow them down.
Well, we know that pile driver ban was for everyone but the Undertaker. He was still allowed and permitted to do the tombstone pile driver, but as a result of that move being banned, I think they stretchered CM Punk out with it earlier this year. Maybe I have that right, but I know someone left on a stretcher after just a regular old Jerry Lawler style pile driver. They made the move matter, and I know that once upon a time this was like a storytelling device. Oh, the DDT is banned. You can't use the DDT. That's not to insinuate that anybody was ever seriously injured with the DDT. I know Steamboat was, but not everybody was. But in storyline, hey, that move is banned. It becomes a storytelling device. And I think that's even what Bill Watts was trying to do with banning moves off the top rope. He could make them a part of a story. So you could still do the moves. It just had to be a part of a story and not just jumping off the top rope for the sake of jumping off a top rope. But what I do think that the pile driver ban was different because it wasn't for story purpose. It was for real health purposes.
Right.
But in its absence, they're able to utilize it for a story. It's kind of reverse engineering here. I dig it. Do you think that we should see certain moves or circumstances or situations banned? Should anything change in the ring to eliminate this recent rash of neck injuries?
Yeah, you got to be more careful, and you got to have some confines of what you can do and what you shouldn't do. And that's up to administration and the agents that laying out a match. So yeah, it's got to be monitored and governed without question. And I think we're seeing more of that, but it's not affecting the in-ring quality, at least in my opinion. So I'm for all that stuff. I'm not saying, you make it a PG product and call it a day, but you got to be smart with what you allow to happen in the ring, and you try to take away as many opportunities as you can that could cause a permanent injury and change your lifestyle and change who you are as a performer. So yeah, I think sometimes the talents go too far, and that's been the case more often than not in recent years. Too far, too many chances. So, but I'm for that. I'm for not taking the excitement and the mystique and the intrigue away, but managing it and not being silly on what you see in the ring. It's just not worth it.
We know that in years past, guys were paid off the house and everybody was worried about losing their spot, brother. And I'm sure some of that exists to a lesser degree today, probably not quite like it did because the financial piece has been handled. Almost everyone in wrestling now, there are still a handful of exceptions of guys who work on a per show basis. But by and large, the era of guaranteed money is here to stay. And so guys are getting a huge chunk of money every week or every 2 weeks or every month or whatever it may be, but it's guaranteed no matter how many or how few or where they're at on the card. There is a real guarantee. And I can't help but feel like, with the benefit of hindsight, if those were the type contracts that were offered, a guy like Paul Orndorff's career could have looked a whole lot differently, right? I mean, he needed surgery, he avoided the surgery, and he paid the cost in the long run.
And he's not the only one.
Yeah.
He's not the only one, but he's one of the guys that, if they had been managed a little bit closer, and the pay scale was like it is now, where there's guaranteed money, guys are like, I've talked to some guys that it's like they're on salary, and the salaries all are intact as long as they can come to work. And you say, well, you're saying two things. You're saying one thing out of the one side of your mouth and another out of the other. I truly believe we've got to look out for the safety and the welfare of the athletes. They only got one body. When they get dinged up or they get messed up, that's how it is. And a lot of that stuff could be easily avoided if there had been better management in place and a stronger management at least at that, stronger management. And so hopefully this generation of wrestlers that's growing up understand that, and they're not just taking chance for chance sake, just for the ooh or ah, or you still got it, or whatever the case may be. Nothing's more important than their own health, and some of them just don't get it.
If you were able to, and I know that you're blessed to be in the role you have with AEW, you just recently revealed you've signed up for another year with AEW, and they're bringing you in to call a couple of big matches every month at a major PLE. So you're in the catbird seat for a lot of reasons in professional wrestling, and well deserved. But if you found yourself in an administrative capacity today and you're seeing this new rash of surgeries all centered around the neck, would you impose what would you do? Is there anything you can do, or is it simply just a matter of conversing with the talent, not necessarily putting new guardrails up, so to speak.
Yeah, you gotta be honest with the talent. So you're putting yourself in jeopardy, and for no reason, and not just for the high spot or the ooh or the ah of that particular match or that particular segment of a match. You just can't do it, and you reason with the talent that this is not going to happen. We're not going to do this, and a lot of that falls back on the agents, the coaches, if you will, because they're older guys as a rule. They're going to say, well, I did this forever and I'm okay. And all this. You're okay today, but you may not be okay tomorrow based on the style of wrestling that you're utilizing. So I'm a health first guy by any stretch, but if you got to tell a guy no, it means no. And if they don't understand what no means, sometimes you got to take drastic means to make sure that occurs. And you're trying to protect them as being a dad or a husband or a son or daughter, whatever it may be. You just you can't do it. You can't do it. And the only way to stop that is not book them.
SaveWithConrad.com.
My name's Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California. I came to Save with Conrad because I've heard Conrad talk about how he helps people all the time save money and the best route to go for getting some mortgages and finances done. And having heard so many different testimonials in the past, it made the most sense to go this route. We were in the market for a new house and we wanted to know what we could afford. So we spoke with Steve and then Diane to get through the pre-approval process to see what we could afford. And then once we were able to understand that aspect of it, that was when we were able to shop around for a house to get a mortgage through Save with Conrad. Everybody on the team was great. Everybody really explained everything fully to where it was more in like layman's terms to where I could understand it as someone not in the business or having shopped around for houses too many times. So being able to understand every step of the process and talking with everyone on the team about that was really, really helpful. And it made me feel really confident that I was going the right route. I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. I know that sometimes people look at it and they go, oh, they're based in Alabama. What could they help me with? But I'm out here in California and they were able to square everything away and get things done really quickly, as opposed to sometimes even people out here don't move as quickly as the Save with Conrad team. So everything was really well done, really efficient, and I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California, and I was able to get into my dream home with SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender. SaveWithConrad.com.